One of the most common things that I see in my comments section is a variation of, I feel like I've lost myself in motherhood. I feel like I don't know who I am anymore after having kids. How do you have time for hobbies? So today I just wanted to sit down with you and chat about all of my tips for finding yourself again in motherhood, because it's tough and it can be a process. I mean, the first few years of motherhood, if not more, are so 24/7 focused on that supervision of your child, and there can be no time left for yourself, for your hobbies, for your marriage. I like to reframe this and say that when I became a mother, I met a new version of myself, and now that I'm kind of coming out of the trenches, obviously I still have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. Motherhood is still a huge part of my life, but I do have little pockets of time for myself now that I didn't have even a year or two ago, and I am now meeting another new version of myself, and I am very excited to get to know her. And these are all the things that I have found that have helped me find myself again. First of all, let's talk hobbies and the 2 kinds of hobbies that I think that you should have. The first one is a hobby outside of your home that meets weekly. I know that might sound intimidating, but it is absolutely game-changing if you and your partner can make that time for you to have to yourself. For me, it was joining a local pottery class. It was just through my community center. It was cheap. And the magical thing about it is that I had something on my schedule every single week where I had to leave my house and be around the same people every week. A lot of them were women in a bunch of different stages of life. A bunch of them were not moms or were like grandmothers who were on like active mom duty. And it was wild because when I first started this pottery class, we were going around and doing introductions. I was like, I don't even know what to say about myself other than like my kids. I wish that I was exaggerating with this story, but our first assignment was to make a nameplate for ourselves. And I remember asking the pottery teacher if I could make it for one of my kids instead. And he was like, why don't you make it for you first? And that moment for me was like, oh, I'm deeply gone in the trenches and I need to claw my way back out. It was just a silly little pottery nameplate. But I do feel like I had lost my identity a little bit to the point where I was uncomfortable even like making something for myself. Some ideas you could look into in this category are creative and art classes, book clubs, a volunteer project. I seriously would encourage you to check out your local community center because they have so many incredible resources for very low cost, something that we've been utilizing for years that I will not stop yapping about because it's so good. And now that we've established that you are worthy of taking time for yourself and leaving the house and doing your own thing, the second kind of hobby that I want you to cultivate is one that you can do during nap time. I had a hard time figuring out what to do with my time without a screen in front of me. And what I ended up doing is going back to my childhood hobbies. So I would highly recommend thinking about, what did you enjoy playing with as a kid? What did you enjoy making? And how can you translate that into your adult life? For me, that looks like things like coloring and craft and DIY projects and playing video games. The magical thing about the hobbies we had as children is, we didn't have a car or a ton of money, so we had to work with what we had in our homes. And I think that that can apply to this journey as well, and it's kind of just a shortcut to get from A to B. Another tip that I have is to make friends with women in different stages of life. I know that for the first few years of parenting, I really was just focused on making mom friends, and that is beautiful and wonderful, and I'm so grateful for my mom friends. But I am also a big proponent of the idea that one friend cannot be everything for you. Like, your bookish bestie might be different than your mom bestie, who might be different than your like, I want to go get my nails done bestie. And I think that having conversations with women in different stages of life can really open you up to new ways of thinking, new ways of considering the world and yourself. It's often a challenge for me to engage in a conversation when I'm not just talking about my kids the entire time, but I also think that that's important and beautiful and something that I should be focusing on. Having friends who are not in the same stage as active duty toddler motherhood has really helped me to, just kind of get outside of myself and remember who I am as an individual, and that yes, I am mom, but I'm also Meg, and she is also a full person. Another tip that I have that I learned from my friend Kylene is to involve your kids in your hobbies and the things that you love doing. I used to just schedule all of my kids like wake time around things that I thought would be engaging for them, that they would love, but I wasn't really taking myself into account at all. And as they got older, I found that what they really loved to do was just like do things with me and do things that they saw me doing. So whether that was baking or doing watercolor painting or decorating the house, they just just wanted to engage in those things with me. And I realized that I could leverage that to my advantage and get some me time, do some things that I enjoyed doing, and also enrich them as a byproduct rather than the other way around, where I was kind of trying to fit myself into the cracks in between. And if I want to take the planning out of an activity for that, I love the KiwiCo clubs. I go straight for the art and design club. They have so many fun, cool art projects that are appropriate for my kids' age and stage, and they're like made specifically for that, but they're also really fun for me, and they come pre-packaged with everything that you need to do the activity. But they have more than art and design, so depending on what you're into, there are different areas that you can try out. I recently got this one for the kids to do with Matt, because Matt is a science boy. He wants to learn how things work and like play around with the mechanics of things. So we got this Learn and Grow Wind Play Lab. Both me and my kids learn new skills as we're doing these hands-on projects, and they're also fun. They don't just feel like a homework assignment. They are genuinely a joy to do. They go through rigorous kid-approved testing to make sure that they are a blast. We are proud members of the KiwiCo Sprouts Club. We also did the Panda Crate when the kids were littler, and I absolutely loved that for helping them with their development. If you're looking for an easy way to engage in your own hobbies while keeping your kids engaged and having quality time, I really think you'll love KiwiCo. You can use code Megan to save 50% off of your first club crate when you get a crate for kids ages 3+, or just go to kiwico.com/Megan. Thank you for sponsoring KiwiCo. The next tip that I have for finding yourself in motherhood is to focus on taking care of your body, not on losing weight. I'm gonna say it again, not on losing weight. For me, this looks like prioritizing my gut health and my joint health. That has become kind of a goal for me to strive towards, that feels healthy and positive rather than filled with like self-loathing and hatred. And I also highly recommend finding a form of movement that you genuinely love. I've been obsessed with my walking pad recently. I'll put on a YouTube video or a little like walk to Hogwarts ambiance video, and I'll just walk on my walking pad. It feels like really great me time. And I also love the benefits that I'm getting. I know it's gonna help me stay healthy. Something else that I really, really love that I would love to get back to, I think maybe this will be my next like weekly activity commitment, is Pilates, because oh my gosh, it's so fun. Like going to the Pilates studio makes me feel like a kid going to like the big play gym with all the big foam blocks, because it's just a blast, and the dopamine is really dopamining, especially if I get dressed in like a cute little set and I go and I've got my little Stanley. I don't know, it just feels like a vibe to me. And out for 2025 is forcing ourselves to do exercise that we do not enjoy, and an in is finding a form that we do genuinely love. Another thing that I've been focusing on recently that has really helped has been cultivating a new hobby with my spouse. I do think that part of being like a well-rounded human who is taking care of herself is pouring into my relationships, my friendships, my marriage, all of that. And so having that as part of this journey has been fun and important. And it's also really reminded me that I have roles outside of motherhood. Like I am a person, I am a wife. She's multifaceted. Matt and I have been doing a lot of 3D printing recently, which is such a funny, silly hobby, but I have had so much fun with it. And we've also been playing in a weekly D&D game together, which has been so much fun. It gives us something to talk about other than the kids and something to look forward to throughout the week. It's also building on skills for us like improv, problem solving, thinking on our feet, getting us back to our acting roots a little bit, because Matt and I met doing theater, so it's been fun to kind of re-explore that in a new setting as part of a D&D campaign rather than like a show. Another thing that I would recommend is to consume some non-motherhood content. I don't know if you guys are like me, but when I became a mom, I could not get enough of motherhood content, whether it was Instagram or YouTube or TikTok. That was all I wanted to see. And part of it was that I needed information. I needed to know, how do I do baby-led weaning and what toys are the best for my kid? But I do feel like at a certain point, it was all I was consuming, and I wasn't consuming the kind of content that kind of like lit me up creatively for my own hobbies and my own life. And so I've gone back to watching like renovation and decorating content, gaming content, book talk and bookstagram and booktube content. And I'm finding myself just feeling more inspired. Again, I'm not trying to make motherhood a smaller part of my life, but just to remind myself that in the pockets that I have where I am not actively watching my kids, I do have other hobbies and other interests and other things to think about and do and get excited about. Some of my favorite non-motherhood content creators right now are Darling Desi, Cozy K, Rose Adele, Morgan Long, and my friend Brielle Wrights. I find that watching that content on the TV as opposed to my phone is absolutely key for me. And I probably should have said this earlier, but one of my biggest tips for finding yourself is put the phone down. Just like put the phone down. Because if you're filling all of your time with scrolling, you're not giving yourself any time to explore new things. There is a time and a place for scrolling for sure. And especially things like Pinterest can be very inspiring and can help me cultivate new hobbies and things like that. But when I'm just scrolling TikTok or Instagram Reels for a long time, that is taking up all the time in which I could be doing things that are actually fulfilling to me and actually developing me as a person. One tool that I've really loved for this recently is I got the brick. It's this little 3D printed box and it's a magnet, so it just stays on my fridge. And they have an app that you can pair to it, and you block certain apps, and if you don't have the brick to scan to unbrick your phone, you can't use those apps. And I really like it because the barrier of having to get up and go over to the brick really puts that pause in for me of like, do I need to open this app right now? Okay, I actually didn't. That was just for muscle memory. I'm gonna do something else instead. Also, there's no subscription, which I like. It's just a one-time purchase and you can use it on multiple phones. Not at all sponsored. I just really like it. Another tip that I have is to start a long-term creative project, something that's going to be more than just one sitting that you're going to have to work on for a long period of time. I like to pair mine with a podcast. So my current thing is I will listen to Worlds Beyond Number and I will do a paint by numbers kit. But there are so many different things that you could do in this realm, like renovations. Home renovations are a great one. Knitting or crocheting something kind of larger, something where you can cultivate a relaxing, cozy practice to become a routine and not just a one-time thing, I think is so incredible. And probably most importantly is take care of your mental health. I will shout this from the rooftops for as long as I shall live. Try therapy. Everyone should be in therapy, even if you don't have like capital T trauma. Therapy is for so much more than that. I think that it should be like a basic healthcare service. Like you go in and get your teeth cleaned, you go in and get your like eyes checked, you go in and you get your wellness physical. You should go to therapy. It's really good. It teaches you how to cope better with the things that you're dealing with. It teaches you to be more self-aware and explore yourself, figure out where your patterns of behavior are coming from and how to change them if that's something that you want to do. But I also understand that therapy isn't accessible for everyone. It can be quite expensive. So short of that, I would recommend guided journaling. You can find a lot of really good like science-backed CBT journals or more casual ones. One I'm really enjoying right now is this Tune In, a workbook for digging into our inner dialogue. First of all, it's cute, but it's also very in-depth. I just find this is so helpful for getting my thoughts out onto a page and out of my head. I think making time to just like be in your own brain, if that makes sense. When in motherhood, you're pulled in so many different directions all the time, you might not have that singular line of focus to think about how you're actually doing, how satisfied you are with your life, what you want to change, what you're grateful for. So even just 5 or 10 minutes of sitting down and journaling is so helpful. And just try to remember that everything is a stage. You will have time to yourself again. You will have a core friend group again. You will have hobbies that light you up. It's okay if you're not there yet, but I do think you can find little pockets of time to prioritize yourself and meet this beautiful new version of you that you're becoming. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any more tips for finding yourself in motherhood down in the comments below. I can't wait to see you guys in my next video, and until then, stay cozy. Bye!